Pues nuevamente tomo el micrófono para pedirles que ocupen su lugar. Vamos a dar inicio a esta participación del doctor Ashleigh Molloy, que le pido en este momento que me acompañe. Ash, please come with me. Sí, gracias.
Okay. Yep.
Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Bueno, yo deseo destacar en esta mañana la presencia del cónsul de Canadá en Monterrey, que ha venido con una participación especial en el marco de este Congreso Internacional, la Educación Inclusiva, un horizonte de posibilidades. Para mí es un placer, señor cónsul, darle la bienvenida. François Lafont, por favor, vamos a expresarle un fuerte aplauso. El señor Lafont es un cónsul, un ciudadano canadiense muy activo en nuestra comunidad, siempre estableciendo vínculos entre nuestros dos países, entre México y Canadá, y para nosotros nos llena de orgullo que tenga una oportunidad y este espacio que lo comparta con nosotros. Señor cónsul, es usted bienvenido.
Buenos días a todos. Realmente es un placer y un honor de estar aquí entre ustedes. El doctor Molloy es uno de los más destacados canadienses en el campo de la educación. Recibió una medalla de la reina Isabel este año por su excelencia en el campo. Y entonces me gustaría reconocer su gran talento y sus competencias en el tema. Segundo, yo vengo aquí como mensajero del gobierno de Canadá para entregar al director Humberto Rodríguez un reconocimiento por haber invitado al doctor Molloy a esta conferencia. Y entonces yo quiero dejar una carta firmada por miembros del Parlamento aquí agradeciendo la participación del doctor Molloy en este evento. Muchas gracias.
Ojalá hubiera algún fotógrafo que venga y tome una foto de este evento tan memorable, porque el reconocimiento del gobierno canadiense al Congreso y a la normal de especialización me parece bastante trascendente. Wow, un fotógrafo.
Sí, por favor. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Okay, thank you very much.
Bueno, ahora quisiera presentar al doctor Ash Molloy, es psicólogo del desarrollo en educación especial, en especial énfasis en diversidad e inclusión educativa. Recibió la Orden de Ontario de parte del gobierno por su liderazgo en educación y humanidades. Fue designado líder educativo del año por el Concilio de Niños Excepcionales en el 2007. En el 2008 recibió el premio Princeton en reconocimiento a su liderazgo global en la categoría educativa. En el 2009 recibió un premio por su trayectoria de vida de parte de la Asociación Educativa de Padres Católicos en Ontario. El doctor Ash Es consultor y conferencista internacional sobre temas educativos enfocados a la atención a la diversidad y a la inclusión. Es un renombrado presentador de radio y televisión, dando conferencias por el mundo. Ha dado cursos en universidades de Turquía, Finlandia, Oslo, Dublín. Ha estado en conferencias en Washington y les tengo una buena noticia, en Monterrey también. Fue ponente en el Congreso Mundial de Síndrome de Down, celebrado en Vancouver, Canadá, en el 2006. Participa activamente con su experiencia en el sistema escolar de Toronto en lo referente a cursos de educación especial. Es un gran promotor de la interculturalidad y el respeto de las lenguas comunitarias. El doctor Molloy se ha involucrado profundamente con la comunidad de las personas con discapacidad. Ha servido a la comunidad como presidente de la división de la Asociación de Síndrome Down de Toronto, el representante canadiense en el Congreso Internacional de Síndrome de Down. También es miembro de la Coalición por la Inclusión Educativa en Ontario. Ha sido presidente del Concilio de Niños Excepcionales en Ontario y ha dado distintos cursos y conferencias a estudiantes en la Universidad de York. Ha participado con trabajo humanitario en países tan diversos como Ghana, Malawi, Filipinas, Ecuador y México, y ha recibido numerosos premios de parte de grupos y organizaciones nacionales y líderes políticos por su trabajo en Asia, Europa y América. Además, como ustedes ven, es un digno representante de Canadá como un país progresista, como un país innovador en el tema de la educación inclusiva. Vamos a darle un fuerte aplauso al doctor Ashleigh Molloy.
Muchas gracias. Bendiciones a todos. Hola, Sinaloa. Yo amo México. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. One more time. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your foot. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your foot. If you're happy and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, stamp your foot. Bienvenidos de Canadá. Bienvenue du Canada. Welcome and greetings from my nation of Canada. I thank once again, our consul from Canada, Monsieur François Lafond, who was kind enough to come here because it is very, very important that we have an opportunity granted here at this conference to let you know that Canada believes in inclusion. So, let's get started with the very first slide. I'm going to talk about global inclusion, and I'm looking at some of the places that I have been. So a couple of things here is to validate the role of teachers as educators for all students, which my colleagues, both Chris and Mian, have already talked about. So again, it's kind of a little bit of an extension. To understand that inclusion is recognized and supported by the United Nations, which Chris referred to, and to explore inclusive practices globally through the lens of neurodiversity. So there's a new science, neurodiversity, that is really beginning to emerge as it relates to teaching special education, basically how the brain works. So I'm going to do a couple of things. Look at inclusion from the words in video of both students and educators. And then I'm also going to have a look at a little bit of neurodiversity, which is for short form is brain-based learning, what we're learning about how to work with students with what we call disabilities or better exceptionalities. So I was pleased to be at the United Nations in March of last year to officially sign on behalf of Canada the UN Charter recognizing that March the 21st has been officially proclaimed as World Down Syndrome Day by the United Nations. I think that's a great step forward. So, UNESCO, we know about Children for All, and again, the charter that is focusing or trying to make sure that all children get educated. That's the work that the United Nations and UNESCO, with Chris talking about that this morning. So again, we're all kind of building on each other's. The goal will be achieved when all nations recognize that the universal right to education extends to individuals with disabilities. So again, that's the worldwide global journey that all of us are on in terms of trying to get inclusion. I'm just going to briefly refer to this, but I like the sign. Canada is a proud signatory of the UNCRPD, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. And I think that that speaks to Canada as a nation that welcomes people from around the world and certainly seeks in its society to ensure that everybody is entitled to and has the opportunity to be fully engaged citizens in our nation, contributing citizens to our nation. We value diversity. That means the differences of all sorts coming together to work as one nation, one society that is built on mutual respect. Inclusion, there's different meanings, and again, as Mian said, this is not the only meaning. There are different meanings. This is just one of many. Inviting all children to learn together in classrooms creates an environment where they learn to work effectively with those different from themselves, where learning increases for all, and where a sense of belonging is pervasive. That's from a group called the Whole School Consortium. There's some nice pictures I have, if you see, from a previous Congreso, and you can see two of the children I was very privileged to meet. So what does an inclusive classroom look like? Well, it should be a welcoming environment for students and for parents. Accommodating, clearly demonstrated. How are you going to, as a teacher, address the needs of each of your students in your classroom? Making a variety of resources available that reflect diversity. So when we look at the curriculum, it's important that we see visuals of people who are disabled so that we understand that they are part of our society. Focus on student-centered learning. Learning is all where the student is and where we want to take him or her in our teaching. Schoolwork from all learners on display. To ensure that all students have a chance to put up their work once it is the best that they can do. There's a particular story I will just tell you. My daughter Lindsay, as some of you know, was born with Down syndrome, and she's a delight, and she's probably the inspiration for me doing what I do. Because despite of all the education I have got, the most important lessons are taught to me by people with intellectual disabilities, and certainly first and foremost is my daughter Lindsay in that. Basically, the teachers were looking at putting up artwork on the bulletin board. So Lindsay, I was at parent night and I went to look and I looked at this, and the thing I asked the teacher is this the best work that Lindsay can do? Because if it isn't, I don't want it up there because she has Down syndrome. I want it up there because it is the best work that she can do. So it's very important that we make the critical distinction when we're working with students of disabilities that it is not from a point of view of care or pity. What we need to do is look at empowerment to help our students to be the best they can be. Flexibility in programming to meet individual needs. Okay, an inclusive teacher embraces changes. Change is happening all the time, continually. And finally, supportive of peer cooperative learning. You know, students who work with their fellow colleagues in class learn a lot. They learn about important qualities such as compassion. They also learn to realize that the world that they're going to live in is made up of differences. Part of that differences is students with special needs. And finally, collaboration among team members. Jeff Struley is a friend of mine from Los Angeles, and he talks about, again, something that both Mian and Christine have talked about this morning. It says the color of the journey is different from all of us. So Mexico is on the path of inclusion, as Canada is, as the United States, Australia, Hong Kong, and all the other countries. But we're all at different points on that journey. So it's not going to look the same in each country because we are all at a different stage of pursuing inclusion. Okay.
Our education system is at a critical juncture, and we are called upon to ensure that every student is on the path to success?
Okay, that was the Minister of Education for Bermuda. Okay, they are committed to ensure that every student, okay, is on the path to success. Every student, all students. That includes students with special needs. So I'm just going to having a look at some of the...
I'm interviewing Aoife, who is my host here at this school, and she is a special education teacher, and this particular school location works with students who are designated as being autistic. So I'm just asking her a couple of questions because I've spent already half a day here with the students, and it's a wonderful brand new facility here in Turku, Finland.
This is Finland.
So the first question I'm going to ask Eva is, what is something in your career as a teacher here working with students with autism, what is something that you find rewarding as a teacher? That's the first question.
Well, the moments in my career would be moments where a child with no way of communication learns to communicate even the smallest things. The first time they point to a bread or point to the water glass or something like that. The first little steps are usually the most rewarding. Of course, everyday life, because I think it's a very rewarding thing in our line of work that we get to not only teach subjects, but teach about life, to show life and show things that people do for fun or things like that, and just everyday life with them. Yeah.
So the kind of...
Okay, that's Eva from Finland.
What do you... Can
this
you
is
tell
from
me
Norway.
What what kind of... Like when you've chosen this life of teaching, what do you think is special about being a teacher?
Oh, well, I like that when I noticed that these kids has learned something, especially when here in special education it sometimes happens very slowly.
Yes.
And when I have been with some children with year, and then and I think and memorize fast, and I think that what it was a year ago and what it is now. Mm-hmm. That's when it comes.
It makes you feel really good. You've
yes,
actually achieved something.
So, as you can see, both teachers talking about moving their students forward and how rewarding it is when little steps of improvement is so important to them. So again, these are teachers. Notice the commonality. You are in special education because you want to make a difference in the lives of students who sometimes need extra help. Okay, I don't know if you've ever tried that, but we talk about disabilities. If you put me in a wheelchair and tried to do that, I would certainly have significant problems. So again, how do we look at it? In America and other countries internationally, they're able to play basketball in wheelchairs. I cannot do that. Okay, I cannot do that. So again, it's how do we look at the abilities or disabilities? What lens are we looking through? In this case, I would say they are very accomplished, okay, basketball players. Now, let's have a look at neurodiversity. Where's Iris? Iris, okay, I visited Iris. Stand up, Iris. I visited Iris's school last year, and I met this sweetie pie of a student, and I'll just tell you the story. I went in there and was visiting the school, and somehow this little girl kind of like seemed to cling on to me. I don't know what it is, but I was very fortunate because she kept with me the whole time, and when I wanted to leave, she said, "If this is right, Iris, Papa, Papa, Papa." So I thought, wow, what a compliment. She thinks that kind of like I'm like her dad. So it was very difficult to leave there because she kind of stole my heart away, and that's what these students do. So, all right, so neurodiversity, I'm just going to hit on this, but the whole idea of relating scientific exploration and understanding of the brain and how it interacts in terms of different aspects of learning. So the word was coined by Harvey Bloom and Judy Singer. It's a concept that provides a paradigm shift in how we think about mental functioning. Instead of viewing individuals as having a deficit or dysfunction in their mental processing, we should recognize and respect neurological differences as social category on par like gender, ethnicity. So neurodiversity is another type of diversity. We don't all think the same. Our brains don't all work exactly the same. It encourages more inclusive and integrated programs that value diversity. And for children with disabilities, the cognitive processing strengths and weaknesses interfere with achievement and or behavior adjustment. So we're learning how do we work with students who have significant behavioral challenges. So again, knowledge is constantly evolving, and so as educators, learning, as we try to tell our students, learning for teachers is also for life. It's called BBL, Overview of Brain-Based Learning. I'm just going to look at the bottom here, but it says the brain works in unity. Each brain is unique. The brain is divided into two hemispheres, and they have different functions. The left brain is analytical and abstract. The right brain is holistic and concrete. And then the brain has 4 lobes. We're going to talk about that upcoming, just to kind of get an idea. We're not going to become neurological scientists here, but just to understand how knowledge and understanding will inform our practice. All right, we're just going to skip that because I'm just looking. If you look at BBL on the internet, you'll certainly find a lot of information that will help you in furthering your understanding and knowledge of neurodiversity. The effects of brain-based learning on the academic achievements of students with different learning styles, because we know that people learn visually, people learn auditorially, and people learn kinesthetically or tactile. It doesn't mean one of them might be a predominant way for us to learn. It's not exclusive because we learn in all 3 different ways, but some are more our preference. For example, males learn, predominantly males, not exclusively because there's always exceptions, but predominantly males learn best visually. Females learn best auditorially. Okay, that's their first. Doesn't mean exclusive, okay, but it is something that it's important to understand. So if you're trying to teach boys, talking for 4 hours, just talking, is not going to be very helpful to them. Okay, so it depends. How are we going to look at all these differences in our students because they're all unique? Okay. Just the last part. It is claimed that the learning styles of the individuals are determined by the way the brain functions. Thus, the content, design, and presentation of each learning activity, every learning activity that you're going to do, every lesson that you're going to prepare, you have to first of all figure out, are you going to include, okay, examples of visual learning, okay, auditory learning, and also, finally, tactile or kinesthetic. So in the course of your teaching, you need to remember that different people have different preferences, so that's important. Okay, there is Iris. Do you see Iris up there? Iris is in the pink skirt. See Iris? There you are. This is, again, I was invited to her school, and I had a great time with grade 1s and 2s. So, okay. All right, here's a little bit of activity. I'm going to tell you how to do this. Memorize these 30 words, Mike, by studying them. For 2 minutes, how many can you remember when the list is taken away? I'm going to ask you to explain that to your partner. So have a look. I'm going to give you 1 minute to see how many of those English words you can remember. You don't have to understand them. It's a test, a brain-based learning test. Go. Sorry. Just checking, see if you're awake. Just checking to see if you're awake. 30 seconds. Okay, time's up. I'm going to go back to that. So your brain in action. Now, with your partner, you say what words you can remember, and then he or she adds any extras. Go. 30 seconds with your partner beside you. No cheating, Iris. where's my time? I need to know how much time. Okay, that was an example of a little activity to see if our brain is engaged, and then what you can remember in a short period of time. How much processing is going on in your brain? Did you remember 10 words, 15 or 20? But I know that everybody remembered all of them, so I don't really need to ask that because you were all. So give yourself molto applauso for yourselves. Okay, good. All right. We have 4 lobes, and I'm not going to make you experts in this, but it's just to give you an idea of how complex our brain is when we're trying to learn. And it's something that you want to access a little bit about in your search on the internet about brain-based learning, so that, again, you can meet the needs of your students. Okay? Okay, the occipital lobe is conscious visual, so our sight receives, processes, and analyzes visual information. This is the function of this part of the brain. There are 4 lobes. Recognition of form, color, orientation, faces, and color. Dysfunctions. If there is a problem with this part of the brain, it says reduced ability to discriminate and process spatial information, i.e. distance between. So, for example, mathematics, arithmetic, calculations. Okay, that might be a problem. Okay? Movement disorientation, okay? Space, being able to maneuver space, okay? And decreased face recognition, okay? Can't really remember who a particular person is, or can't distinguish as clearly, okay? The temporal lobe is another part. So what does it do? Conscious, auditory, and olfactory. Olfactory meaning smell, okay? Analysis of form and color. Sound frequency, sound recognition, language, music, appreciation. So this is where your language is. When you're trying to do your communication skills or language acquisition, writing, reading. Contains hippocampus, consolidates memories of facts and events, and role in long-term memory, remembering long-term. One of the things that students with Down syndrome, they have a great long-term memory. For example, when Lindsay, my daughter, says, Dr. Ash, you're supposed to be having lunch at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, it better be 12 o'clock, not 5 minutes past 12, not 1 minute past 12, not 1 minute before 12, but 12 o'clock. And they remember. They get into routines. They also remember things that happen. For example, I was on my way to church 2 years ago, and I was just getting a cup of coffee early in the morning because I had a late night, and I spilled it on my pants. So Lindsay, every single time, every Sunday since that time, 2 years later, don't forget, don't spill the coffee on your pants. So she remembers that from 2 years ago. She's got a great long-time memory to remind me. Sometimes I wish she didn't remember all my bad habits, but she does. All right, so some of the problems that you might encounter in the temporal lobe: sound processing impairments, maybe hearing impairments. Okay, that might be a challenge. Language difficulties, learning, writing, and speaking. And difficulty in memorizing facts, okay? So these are some of the challenges if you have this particular lobe affected. And the parietal lobe, touch, pressure, pump, pain, perception. Feelings, integrates body, okay? Involves in visual and spatial processing, and then involves in object manipulation, being able to be coordinated, okay? Some of the challenges with this part of the brain, if it is not functioning 100%, impairments to visual and spatial, okay? So not being able to kind of like distinguish in terms of spatial aspects or distances, okay, or mapping. Decreased ability in processing, okay, physical senses and perception. And finally, the last one contains, okay, the different examples of neurons, which are part of the brain. The neurons are always kind of like the spark plug, associated with attention, long-term memory, planning, and drive. So, for example, a student, well, we'll get that in a minute, voluntary motor actions. So, for example, being able to do that, being able to, my brain telling me I need to walk across the stage, I need to press the clicker. Now, these are some of the challenges if this part of the brain is not working. Mental flexibility and spontaneity, socialization increase or decreasing. So, for example, students with autism here may have a challenge, okay, in terms of social interaction. Distracted more frequently. Students with attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, okay, would have this part of the brain. And finally, diminished creativity and problem-solving skills, not being able to kind of conceptualize how to solve a problem or follow the steps, perhaps. All right, there's another one from Mexico. Inclusive brain-based research and methodology. This is from Vietnam, so I just use them because, again, I like to always make sure I capture the essence and honor the culture that I was fortunate enough to be invited into. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff here of research which I'm going to just kind of try to kind of scan across. The brain is designed to perceive and generate patterns, and then on the other side, how does it affect teaching? To present information in context. I'm just going to whip through this because this will be available. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea. I don't want to make you experts here on brain-based research in one little session. Okay, but on the left-hand side here is what the research is, and on the right-hand side, how would that inform your practice? Okay, help builds a classroom environment. So if this one, emotions and cognitions cannot be separated. Emotions can be crucial to the storage and recall of information. So look on the other side in terms of your teacher. Help builds a classroom environment that promotes positive attitudes among students and teachers about their work. So that's what your practice would be as related to the research findings. Okay? Every brain is simultaneously perceives and creates parts and wholes. The brain has all sorts of different things coming at it. It's like a radar. And there's a certain part of the brain that puts it all together and makes sense. What you hear, what you see, okay, and your reaction to that. Okay, learning involves both focused attention and peripheral perception. So I'm looking right there, but I can also see, not clearly, that Iris is over on that side, for example, and Daniela is over on that side. Okay, even though I'm not looking directly at them, I can kind of just see them out of the corner of my eye. Place materials, posters, art materials outside the learner's immediate focus to influence learning. These are really specific practices that you can implement in your teaching or as you study. So again, this is going to be available through the website here, and I'll also leave you my email, so whatever. All right, so learning always involves conscious and unconscious processing. That's interesting. Unconscious and conscious. Use hooks or other motivational techniques to encourage personal connections. For example, this morning, I was trying to remember a particular word. And what I found out is that I got a nice hint from Efren, our translator. I was having trouble with blessings, the word blessings in Spanish. And then Efren said to me, think of bendi, so bendiciones. Because I was getting benedictiones, I didn't get quite it right. So he gave me a hook. He gave me something to help me remember that word in Spanish. So it made sense to me, okay, to help me in terms of that word. So that kind of examples. And then finally, we have at least two types of memory: spatial, which registers our daily experiences, and rote learning. Okay, rote learning, repetitive, to learn something, okay? Separating information and skills from prior experience forces the learner to depend on rote memory. Try to avoid an emphasis on rote. We don't want to do that, row, row, row your boat over and over again, okay? That was a thing that happened many years ago, but certainly we don't do that as a one form of learning. We might, do it to help kindergartners learn a song, and that's okay. But we don't want our learners to just simply regurgitate facts, because that's not really learning. That's not moving forward. That's just being somebody just regurgitating things that have no essence. So recent research suggests, again, the brain performs many functions simultaneously. Learning is enhanced by a rich environment with a variety of stimuli. So again, stimuli for me is I didn't want you all falling asleep. So what did I do? I started off with a song, and then I recognized everybody, okay, with some Spanish to honor the culture that I'm in, which is Mexico. All right? And I also used a welcome in my language of French, which is one of the two languages from Canada, of course. And then I also said hello to Sinaloa. Why? Because yesterday they asked me if I was up here today, would I say a special hello to them? So I like to be a teacher, as you will be, to always keep your word. Okay? So that's why I did that. All right. So present content through a variety of teaching strategies. So you're going to change what you do. You're not always going to do the same thing, because every single day you're trying to provide a variety of different, teaching strategies that are going to be used, so that you are trying to connect or hook all the different learning styles that you're going to come across in your diverse classroom. Different learning needs, boys, girls, those who are able-bodied and those who have got differentiated learning styles. Learning engages the entire physiology, physical development. So it's important also, to be active, because if I was here for 3 hours and just talking without any sort of stimulus, you would all be falling asleep, because you just simply were not being brain stimulated. Okay? All right. Be aware that children mature at different rates. So the developmental processing of children, there's no such thing as a typical 4-year-old. There are certain things or certain benchmarks that we look at for a 4-year-old, but they all don't arrive at that benchmark at the same time. For example, research has proven that in kindergarten by age 4, when boys and girls start together, the girls are up to a year ahead in terms of development, specifically in language. So the boys and the girls coming to your kindergarten class, for example, without any disability, there's a difference in where they are starting. The search for meaning is innate, the mind's natural curiosity to be engaged by complex and meaningful challenges. The big thing in Canada right now is to teach children to inquire. It's called inquisitive learning. So not just to give information or facts, but to kind of present a question, or even have the children themselves come up with a question and pursue it. So that's called inquisitive learning. That's the thing that we're working on right now, and certainly a big part of our curriculum throughout Canada. Strive to present lessons and activities that arouse the mind's search for meaning. So it's always important that you're able to hook the students into something that you want them to learn about. So it's important that you know where they come from, what are their interests, and have that personal relationship. In terms of brain-based learning, the first thing that I think you need to do as a successful teacher, we say in English the 3 R's used to be reading, writing, and arithmetic. That was a kind of an established saying. I believe that the 3 R's for teachers are relationship, relationship, relationship. Because students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So that's really important. All right, the brain understands best when facts and skills are embedded in natural spatial memory. These are just things. Use techniques that create or mimic real-world experiences. Try to build on real-world experiences as opposed to abstract things that they cannot relate to. If they can relate to something in your lesson that happens in everyday life, it makes it much more meaningful, and your lesson's going to be a lot more successful. Learning is enhanced by challenge and inhibited by threat. The environment must be safe. So when we have children with disabilities, we've got to make sure in our classroom that they feel welcome. That because they learn differently, they look differently, they talk differently, they move differently, that it's irrelevant. That they are full members welcomed by you as a teacher into your classroom. That's important, very important. Try to create an atmosphere of relaxed alertness in a low threat. So in other words, it means to make sure your classroom is a place of welcome, that it is safe, that all students feel welcomed. Each brain is unique. The brain structure is actually changed by learning. So your brain constantly changes by learning. If you don't practice your guitar playing for 2 years and you used to know how to play guitar, chances are you're going to forget because you don't use it. And certain information that you don't use, you either grow out of or it's no longer of interest to you, it fades from the brain. Because there's always renewal. There's always new things that you are interested in learning about, and that keeps your brain sharp. Use multifaceted teaching strategies to attract individual interest and let students express their auditory, visual, tactile, or emotional preferences. So again, just to make sure that your lessons are balanced to address visual learning, visual, auditory, and tactile kinesthetic styles of learning. Okay, I have a question. Tell me one thing that everybody knows about Canada. Who's going to put their hand up? Quick. I need somebody to be brave. Michael, what do you know about Canada, Michael? Maple leaf? Very good. Good. Maple leaf, that's right. That's the symbol of it's on our flag, and it is very, very important to Canada. Our sports teams wear the Canadian flag, and of course the maple leaf, because we have maple syrup. Okay, maple syrup goes on pancakes, and it makes them delicious. So thank you. The reason I did that is I want to make sure you're all still with me, okay? Thank you, Michael. Okay, here we go. Here's some more brain-based games. Let's play with some words. What do you see? Notice this in Spanish. ¿Qué es lo que ves? All right. So what do you see? Okay, just think about that. What do you see? Good. Okay, now let's look again closely. In black, you can read the word good. In white, you read the word evil. Look. Look at the white lettering. E-V-I-L. So it depends on your perspective. Are we looking at a perspective of students with disabilities as being somehow devalued or just different? All right. By the way, did you notice, Michael? En negro puedes leer la palabra good, en blanco la palabra evil. Hey, come on, aplauso por my Spanish. Ah, muchas gracias. Okay, here we go. Have a look and tell me what you see. So have a look and tell me what you see. Remember, there's two things you're going to see, but let's see what you see. So, Iris, what do you see? What do you see up there? Okay, I'll help you. Inclusion, right? You see inclusion. Now let's look on the back. The white spaces, read the word optical. It's an English word about how you see. So if you look at the white spaces, it's an O-P-T-I-C-A-L. Okay, so optical. So again, you're seeing two different things. So how is your brain perceiving things, all right? Here's one. What do you see? Have a look at that. But then look inside. Y-O-U. So it says you. So me and you. So again, how is our brain perceiving things? All right? All right, so there it is. So when you see, you'll see you. Tú te verás a ti a mí. Not bad, Michael? Am I getting better? Okay. All right, so here we are. Have a look at this one. Now, this is very important. I want you to see, Efren, count the number of the letter F in this next piece of writing. The number of times you see the letter F. Ready? Okay. There are 6. Okay? So if you got 6, that means your brain is functioning pretty good. So, felicitaciones. All right? All right. Privileged position. Oh, my good, Iris. There is Iris again. We took that picture last year when I was privileged to visit her school. So what do? You have a privileged position as a special ed teacher. Believe me, privileged, honored. You influence the future. You teach students who are able-bodied and differently able to be the best that they can be. In an inclusive classroom, we've got students with disabilities and students without disabilities. We learn from each other. You are an inclusionist, which is a really important word. You believe that we all learn best by being together. You believe that each student is unique and views differences as a strength. And most importantly, special ed teachers, they teach from here, but through the heart. Okay? Through the heart. All right.
This is a presentation. What class is this? What grade?
A class in Norway.
Class,
they wanted to say thank you to me, so they did a song. See the little girl in blue? She has a disability. Okay, they did that for me. I didn't know about that, okay? But you notice I'm trying to get you the idea or share with you that children and students are the same everywhere, okay? They're the same everywhere. Again, what Chris said this morning and Mian, we all have the same challenges in terms of inclusion. We're just at different levels, okay? in the realization of it. But I like that because for me, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing and the reason that you are becoming special ed teachers and teachers generally is because you want to make a difference, because you love, okay, students. You have a special place in your heart for students. Okay, I have to put this in because this is my daughter. So as you can see, she is pointing to the world. So inclusion is a worldwide movement. And we've heard that from both Chris and from Mian this morning, and you've heard it from colleagues from Brazil, and so on and so forth throughout the conference. So teachers around the world serve their students' needs. You are a servant leader. Every teacher is a leader, not just the principal, but every teacher is a leader because you are there to serve your students. So being a servant leader, to me, is the most honorable role that we as special education teachers have. Okay. In Bermuda, they had an inclusion day where students were awarded certificates for being inclusionists with their disabled peers. So just to let you know, this is Bermuda, which is an island nation in the Atlantic off the coast of South Carolina. Okay? So just telling you about that. So again, just to get you this journey around the world. Okay, I don't know what's happening here, but okay, here they are having their rally about inclusion. And this is in Bermuda, the primary elementary school. So they're talking about being inclusionist together. We're all different, but we're all one. All right, so I'll skip that one. So here, celebrating learning in Bermuda. This is a grade.
How are you doing, everybody? What
grade
class is this?
P4 Lambert.
And what age is everybody in this class? 8 and 9 and 7. Oh, wow. 9s, a couple of 9s, a couple of 8s, and a couple of 7s. So tell me, raise your hand if math is your favorite subject.
Okay, so they all love math in Bermuda.
Okay, next subject. How about people who like, raise your hands if you like reading.
They all like reading.
Oh my goodness.
They all like math.
Raise your hands if you like coming to school. Oh,
they all
boy,
like
including
reading.
the teacher. Oh, that's
teacher likes going to
wonderful.
school. Okay, just to give you, okay, physical education class in Canada. I don't know what this is. Here we go, I think. These are students with autism, students with physical disabilities, and so on and so forth, as well as with their able-bodied peer buddies, I think they call them. Okay, you get it. So, yeah, this is my class at York University. It's my last class, so as you can see, I like to have engaging activities, and I like music. And you can see the diversity of the students in the class, from Africa, from the Caribbean, from Asia, all right? So Canada is very diverse, okay? So learning about inclusion, because that's what I teach special ed through an inclusionist perspective.
How many people play computer games?
This is in
see,
Norway.
Most of the class have their hands up, so obviously computers are a big thing here in the Finland.
Finland, sorry, wrong one. Okay, they all love computer games in Finland, okay, and it's very important. So technology is also a very, very important tool to use because there are programs that can level the playing field. So what we do as special educators is level the playing field. So for example, if we have somebody in a wheelchair, we have a ramp so that they can independently navigate entrance to a building. But that also helps mothers who are pushing, okay, baby prams or strollers. It also helps people who are older or people who have got ambulatory challenges to get up instead of using steps. So that's that universal access. Okay, this is in Norway. Look outside, that's called snow. I know you don't see much of that in Mexico, that's snow.
Bravo. Bravo.
Bravo. I was teaching them signing because we can communicate through signing, not just words. Signing, right? How we sign.
I love you.
Right? Okay, so we communicate differently. I'm just giving you this idea. So teaching that we don't necessarily always need to speak to communicate. So we can communicate through signing. We can also communicate through technological programs that we can use on the computer. Dragon Naturally Speaking is one, but there are many that help facilitate, okay, communication for students, okay, who are challenged in that respect. Okay, quickly, I'm just going to look at, what time have I got, 10 minutes? Okay, I'm just going to look at a couple of things in terms of learning disabilities, okay? I haven't got the time to, but I'm just going to give you a couple of quick. This is brain processing challenges, okay? So have a look at this one. Okay, visual perception. What's that a picture of? Okay, just think in your mind, okay? Does it help if I blacken out, if I make it clearer? Remember what Chris did this morning, okay? When they had the barrier, but slowly but surely, okay, when you remove the barriers, the other person could do the same thing as Chris was doing. Okay, all of a sudden, that's what it looks. So the more information and the more you clarify something, the concept becomes clearer. But everybody can learn. Here you have a look at this. Is this a picture of a horse or a frog? All right. There you are. It's a frog and a horse. So look at it there. It depends on how you look at it. You can look at that picture and see the face of a horse, but also the face of a frog. All right, so again, okay, these are different processes. We know that dyslexia, that's how a student, okay, with a learning disability, okay, dyscalculia probably, or reading challenges, they would put it like this. Is it difficult to learn to read, so they write all over the page because they have not got any spatial concepts. All right, here you go. Can you find 7 dolphins? Okay, 7 dolphins. There are 7 dolphins in that picture. Uh-huh. Okay, I got to move it. There's 7 dolphins. Okay, so it depends on how you look at them, perception. All right, ready? Say the color, not the word. Say the color, not the word is a test. 1, 2, go. Okay, ¿qué pasa? Because your brain is saying they want to say the word, but the other part of the brain is saying, okay, well, there's something wrong. The color of the word is not the color that the word is supposed to be about. So again, your brain gets mixed messages, 2 different things coming in at the same time, so it's confusing. All right, I'm not going to talk about this, just to say that I like autism spectrum disorder because I like the definition. Always unique, totally interesting, and sometimes mysterious. Okay, in the last few minutes, I'm just going to have to skip this. Okay, I'm going to have to skip this, and I apologize for this, but it'll be available. And like I said, I don't want to be late. I know that one thing that's important in Mexico is to make sure that people are on time for their lunch. Right, Michael? So I want to be culturally sensitive to that, make sure. Right, Annie? All right, so these are all sorts of things. I'll just look at visual schedules. So helping communicate using visual schedules. For example, and I'll just show you this one if I can find it, okay? So here's an example of a visual schedule. You're trying to teach a concept. So you can use all sorts of stuff. I'll look at it now. Okay, if the teacher asks a question, you're trying to teach them not just to put up their hand, but to understand what the process is of responding to a question. Ask the question, and I know the answer, and I don't know the answer. So if I know the answer, I put my hand up. If I don't know the answer, I don't put my hand up. That was a behavioral thing that we were trying to work on with kids with special needs, okay, who kept putting their hands up all the time but not know the answer, okay? So again, visual cues, okay? I raise my hand stays down. So visual pictures help the student, okay, in learning a particular skill. Social skills, we know about, there's all sorts of social skills that are required, okay, and I'm just going to skip them because there's all sorts of stuff that I would have done, but okay, I apologize because I don't have, but these things will be available. I did a whole thing on looking at 2 disabilities. In Canada, learning disabilities is 49% of students designated as being special needs students, 49%. Autism I included because it's the most rapidly growing and probably the most complex of the special needs to date. Here's one, Space Invader, quick one. This is where sometimes kids' social cues, they stand right up in front of you. They're standing right in front of you. Kids with autism or Asperger's, they'll stand right in front of you. So that's kind of discomforting for people socially. So I call it the Space Invader, okay? These are kind of the things that a person okay, who hasn't learned about giving people their space, okay? So, here's another example of a safety rule. The noise you hear is a fire alarm. You see it in Spanish. It is okay, get in line behind me. You're trying to teach a child, okay, through pictures, a communication skill, okay? I'm not going to do that. Okay, I need my group up here. Now, you're going to be standing up for this. Where's my backup group? Michael, get rid of that coffee, Michael. This is a rap song I wrote for special ed teachers. Come on, Chris. Chris, come up here. Michael, come up here. I need collegiate support. Addie, where's my Sinaloa gang? Yeah, where's my grep? Come. Okay, it's a very simple one, and then we get to go to lunch. Okay, now watch. 2 feet Sam's. Come on, get up here, come on. Oh, come on. Now watch, everybody's gonna watch. Ready? And then you're gonna get it up here. Come on. Arriba! Okay, ready? Now watch, very simple, okay? Ready? Ready. That's it. Special kids, they want to learn. Teachers for this wish to yearn. Kids are different, none the same. If one's left out, then shame. We will rock you. Good, muy bien. You'll inspire and nurture each like grains of sand upon a beach. Teachers, are we proud to be? Gifts in children we do see. We will rock you. Again, one more time, ready? We will rock you. Muy bien. Very good. In their eyes, role models are we. Loving them is the real key. Your joy and presence you've shared with me. Our special journey, learning to. We will rock you. Rock you. We will rock you. Wishing you now all my best. Embrace your service with real zest. Goodbye, good luck, and good health. Working with kids is your true wealth. We will rock you again. We will rock you. Louder. We will rock you. Rock you! Bravo! Come on, look alive! Viva Sonora! Muchas gracias y que tengas un lindo día. Merci bien, Canada.
Vamos a dar un fuerte aplauso para Ash. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Pero que se escuche más fuerte ese aplauso a nombre de la institución. A nombre de la institución, yo estoy seguro que de varios aquí queremos hacerte entrega de un valioso reconocimiento como muestra de afecto y cariño. No sé qué dijo. No, dice que él estará muy contento de estar atendiendo todas las situaciones, peticiones y comentarios que deseen hacerle. Rápidamente, ya te dieron, pásale.
Viva Canadá y viva México.
Reciba este reconocimiento de parte de todos nosotros con mucho afecto. ¿Sí?
Muchas gracias.
Una sensación muy agradable. ¿Les gustó la conferencia? ¿Sí? Ya los quiero ver así, muchachos, en sus escuelas, así, maestros de dinámica.